was instrumental in helping push the Flyers Bill of Rights, which is still floating around Congress. She also is the founder of FlyersRights.org. This is the largest nonprofit consumer organization representing the airline passengers. All right, Kate, so what's your take on all these fines that were levied to the airlines? Is it enough?
Well, it's a landmark fine. It's the first fine of its kind ever. So it's pretty hard to criticize the DOT for fining the airlines for this deceptive practice. What I want passengers to understand is that Continental and Mesaba were not fined because they held people beyond 3 hours on the tarmac. They were fined because they promised not to in their customer service commitments, which say they'll only hold you for 3 hours. And every airline has a length of time in their customer service commitments that they tell you they'll let you off. But they don't, and they have no intention of it.
That's one of the reasons why I really admire what you're trying to do is I think, if I understand correctly, you're simply trying to enforce the law. If the airline company states, we will give you the option after 3 hours to let you off, you want them held accountable. But I am a little concerned that the government, you've got a Democrat and Republican representatives that are both trying to push forward a bill that will actually make it a 3-hour law, and instead of just enforcing the law against deceptive advertising.
There's no law. Well, there's a law against deceptive advertising, but that's the distinction. There's no law that says they ever have to let you off a plane. My family was on the tarmac for 9 hours.
And my question is, do you want them to make it a law, or do you simply want them to make sure they continue to enforce the deceptive practice law?
Well, the deceptive practice law doesn't guarantee you that you're ever going to get off a plane. All it says is that if the airlines are going to advertise that they let you off at 3 hours, that they have to honor that or stop telling people that they're going to let them off. So my guess is that the airlines right now, all of them, are withdrawing all of that language from their customer service agreements because there's no law in place that says they ever have to let you off a plane. So if I were the airlines and I were trying to do something corporately that's going to save me money, I would withdraw that I ever offered to a passenger to let them off a plane at this point. And if Congress legislates it, then we'll have to let them off. We obviously want a regulation, and I've got to tell you that a good portion of our membership are libertarians who say they like to be falsely imprisoned less than most of the rest of the population.
Okay, so let's talk
people are very angry being stuck.
Let's talk about the bill that's been stalled in Congress since 1999. But the bill says that you can get off the plane after 3 hours. It requires that there is ample food and drink. And Link, you'll appreciate this, it now requires that the temp working toilets are available to accommodate a 3-hour delay. So Link,
this is what we've come to in this
country. It is, and unfortunately, I do think that this is important because I can't imagine, Kate, how you were on a plane for 9 hours with your husband and 2 kids. Link, you're on for 6 hours. What do you think, Link, about this bill? And is it enough, or should it be? I want to be off in 2 hours. I want to be off in 30 minutes if we don't take off.
Well, without being enmeshed in the political aspects of it, it seems to me the bill's a good start. I went to Washington, D.C. and testified at a hearing of passengers who have had these kind of situations. We testified at the House Office Building, and the testimony I heard at least made it seem like this is a good start.
Kate, and I will give you the final word on all of this, Kate, I think, and if you'll sort of walk us through, what I really want to understand is if you get, what's your vision? 5 years from now, what is it that I'm trying to fight for?
Well, right now, you have to fight for interim measures, which is why we're pushing for this type of regulation, because there's no hope for the system being able to handle the amount of air travel.
I've got a question. I think there would be hope that maybe the airlines would wake up and realize they have a tremendous marketing tool if they'd go, we guarantee working toilets.
Well, in 1999 in Detroit, you had hundreds of planes on the tarmac, and they don't care about us. We are cargo with a pulse. You know, we are no more than, barely alive when we arrive sometimes. My family was in that plane 13 hours and 17 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
And it was an MD-80 fully loaded. So, it was a lot longer than 9 hours. The 9-hour part was after the flight. Wow. That was on the ground in Austin, and it was hot, it was was sweaty. The toilets overflowed. We had no food, no water, no medications. People were going into diabetic shock.
Oh,
At what
Lord.
point do we need to protect the health and safety of
What
the
airline
passenger?
was that?
It was
What airline
American
was that?
It was
Airlines.
American,
American.
Airlines. Yeah, well,
American Airlines, yeah.
hopefully this
So
continues to go forward.
FlyersRights.org exists because a whole bunch of volunteers like Link Kristen and victims of events have come together and said, it's worth my time to actually go to Washington, D.C. for free and volunteer for this organization to
Kate,
try
I
to get
tell
some
ya.
basic minimum standards.
Kate, both you and Link, thankfully we have both of you out there fighting this fight for us. I appreciate you both being here.
You're
Have a great
welcome.
Thanksgiving. All right.
Thank you.
On tap, Cody's
Same to you.
winding up his pre-Thanksgiving